Gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Hello, North Carolina, a very special place. 60 days from now, we're going to win the state of North Carolina, and we're going to win 4 more years in the White House. Now, today's a big day because your ballots have been sent out, and I guess you'll be getting them shortly. And as you know, I've been very suspicious of this whole situation. I don't like it, and a lot of people don't like it. So I want you to just maybe if you could listen to this and mark it down and do it, or however you feel comfortable, based on the massive number of unsolicited and solicited ballots that will be sent to potential voters for the upcoming 2020 election. And in order for you to make sure your vote counts and is counted, so important, make sure your vote counts, because they'll lose your vote, they'll lose your ballot. Who knows what's going to happen with these people? Sign and mail in your ballot as early as possible. So you sign your ballot and mail it in. Just mail it in. On Election Day or early voting, go to your polling place. Even though you've mailed it in, go to your polling place to see whether or not your mail-in vote has been tabulated or counted. If it has, you will not be able to vote because it's going to be counted. You'll not be able to vote, and the mail-in system worked properly, as it should. But there's a big chance that it won't work properly. If it has not been counted, vote, which is every citizen's right to do. You go and vote. You press the lever and vote. So if it hasn't been counted, if it doesn't show up, go and vote. And then if your mail-in ballot arrives after you vote, which it shouldn't, but possibly it could, perhaps, that ballot will not be used or counted in that your vote has already been cast and tabulated. So this way, you're guaranteed to have your vote count. So send it in and then see and then vote, and let's see what happens. You're now assured, though, that your very precious and important vote has been counted, and it hasn't been lost or thrown out or in any way destroyed. So important to do that, because this is going to be the biggest election in the history of our country. This is going to be actually, you see what's going on with the people we're dealing with. You see it, and you see it better than anybody. There's going to be the most important election in the history of our country, bigger even than 2016, our beautiful 2016. And nobody's done as much as we've done in 3.5 years. Joe Biden wants to surrender your jobs to China, and he wants to surrender your nation to the radical left-wing mob. And I'm going to keep jobs in America, and I'll bring rioters, looters, and violent extremists to justice. You saw that last night in Portland. The U.S. Marshals went in and they took out a man who shot somebody, a very, very innocent person, shot somebody, killed him. And the U.S. Marshals, we had to send in the U.S. Marshals to show justice. Over the last 3.5 years, we've secured America's borders, fixed our broken trade deals, rebuilt the U.S. military, obliterated 100% of the ISIS caliphate, and killed the 2 worst terrorists in the world, secured American energy independence, built the greatest economy in the history of our world, and now we're doing it again because the plague came in from China, and we're doing it again, and you see how good the numbers are. They're record-setting. Biden will never be able to protect your jobs, your family. He wants to raise your taxes, and he's a puppet of the socialists and Marxists and the cop-hating extremists. For the entire summer, Biden was silent as far-left rioters viciously attacked law enforcement in Democrat-run cities all, burned down businesses, terrorized civilians, and just recently marched through the streets chanting "Death to America." These are people that are supporters of Biden. And by the way, the Delaware police, where Biden never leaves, the Delaware police, law enforcement, just endorsed me. I was just told that at a press conference. Incredible. And I appreciate it very much. But he's there all the time. He never leaves. That's where he talks. Biden spent months calling violent mobs peaceful protests. He helped spark the riots through his reckless attacks on American law enforcement and American society. His dangerous rhetoric incites the left-wing rage, and just look at the angry supporters screaming at Americans, peaceful Americans, people that don't want any trouble. Biden opposes sending the National Guard in to save American lives. He doesn't want to do that. They don't want to fight. They don't want to fight. Just take a look at this crazy mayor of Portland. They forced him out of his home, and he gives them nothing but everything. He gives them 100% of what they want. He couldn't be nicer. He's a dream, but that's not good enough for them. When the left-wing rioters attacked Kenosha, Wisconsin, we sent in the National Guard and restored law and order quickly, and people were very thankful. When I went there 2 days ago, they were thanking me so much because they wouldn't have a Kenosha. If Biden had been in charge, he would have let Kenosha burn to the ground. Biden is weak, and he's not going to be able to handle his bosses, including Antifa, a terrorist organization. The rioters want Biden to win because his agenda is their agenda. They both want to cut funding for police, end cash bail. Can you imagine that? No bail. And hire far-left prosecutors and judges to let criminals free, to let them run wild. The radical left district attorney in Portland has released hundreds of rioters and announced that anyone arrested for interfering with police officers, disorderly conduct even, criminal trespass, rioting, and other offenses will not be prosecuted. His manifesto, and that's what it is with Bernie Sanders, they agreed to this. He pledged to appoint prosecutors who will extend these insane far-left policies nationwide. It's more left than Bernie Sanders was. It's supposed to be brought to the right. It was brought further left than even Bernie Sanders ever dreamed. And Bernie he's got serious problems. They'll make every city look like, frankly, a Portland. Or you look at other Democrat-run cities. Look at what's happened in New York, as high as 300% increase in crime. Chicago, Baltimore. Take a look at Oakland. All Democrat-run. Top 10 cities in the country, and long beyond that, all Democrat-run. But my plan and what I've been doing is be very tough. We have 2,000 people now under arrest that we've taken out of various cities. This week I signed an order to begin the process of cutting off federal funds for cities that allow anarchy to reign. And I've announced those cities, and they're not happy about it, but we say, got to get your act in order. I'll always defend law-abiding citizens. Biden won't. He's not going to defend you. He doesn't even know what defend means. He's gone. That's why rioters are voting for Biden, and law enforcement is voting for me. That's why Delaware, where he comes from, that's why they are endorsing me. I came out of nowhere. I didn't speak to the people, but I have great respect for them. The election is about safety, and this election is also about jobs. Joe Biden spent 47 years shipping North Carolina jobs to China and foreign nations far away, foreign lands, as I always say. I've spent the last 4 years bringing you jobs back home, and that's what we've been doing. I ended the last administration's 8-year war in American oil and coal and fracking and natural gas. Biden supported the ridiculous and one-sided, very expensive for the United States, it would decimate us, the Paris Climate Accord, which would be a death sentence for your energy jobs. I withdrew from this calamity, and Biden said, I'm going to go back into it, even though it's tremendously expensive both in jobs and money. When asked in a debate if there would be any place for fossil fuels, including fracking, which is a big part of the economy, I mean, just a tremendous part. That's one of the reasons we have it the energy prices are so low. Biden replied, no, we would make sure it's totally eliminated. So fracking would be no good. Tell that to the people of Texas. Tell that to the people of Pennsylvania and Ohio and North Dakota and so many other places, Oklahoma. Biden's running mate even sponsored the economy wrecking Green New Deal. It's a joke, the Green New Deal. It's for children. It's not possible. There's not enough money in the world to pay for it, and even if you did, it wouldn't work. While I'm president, America will remain the number one producer of oil and natural gas on earth, and we are that now, and we're going to keep it there. I want North Carolina's great Republicans fighting by my side, and we have some of them on the phone right now, and I want to tell you this is sort of a big call because you're getting those ballots, and we have some great people. Senator Tom Tillis, who's been terrific, a terrific guy, a terrific senator. When I've needed him, he's always been there. He's running against a Democrat who wants to raise your taxes. They want to raise your taxes, by the way. Biden wants to raise your taxes like crazy, open our borders, and take away our Second Amendment. He's a Schumer clone, a Schumer puppet named Cal Cunningham. He'll do anything that Schumer tells him to do, and he's going to say, you're not going to have a Second Amendment or it's going to be obliterated. And very importantly, you are going to have the tax increase of your life. It'll be the biggest tax increase in history. He's proposed it. I don't know. All my life I said cut taxes, and these guys want to run on raising taxes. I've never heard it, but you know what? Maybe they know something that I don't know, but they're going to raise your taxes like never before. Also on the line is Lieutenant Governor Dan Forest, who's running against your lockdown-loving Democrat Governor Roy Cooper. Your state is locked down. I mean, almost all the states are open now. You're locked down, and they're only doing it for political purposes. They'll open it up on November 4th. You watch. And other states with much better numbers on the virus are open and long open. Representatives Richard Hudson, Patrick McHenry. And I'll tell you, Patrick McHenry has been a friend of mine. I always say he's got the greatest name in politics, but been just terrific. All of these guys, Richard, Patrick, Virginia Fox, David Rouser, Ted Budd, Dan, a man that I worked very hard with, Dan Bishop, and another one, Greg Murphy. I was very proud of them, the way they ran their race. I was a big part of it. They're terrific congressmen. They're warriors, all of them. So Richard Hudson, Patrick McHenry, Virginia Fox, David Rouser, Ted Budd, Dan Bishop, Greg Murphy. These are great, great warriors. You put that alongside of Tom Tillis, we have a team that's incredible, and good luck to Dan Forest because he deserves to be your governor. Also, congressional candidate Madison Cawthorn, who is really something. He is a special person. I always say, I said, Madison, if I looked like you look, if I had that face, I would have been president 15 years ago, Madison. He's a great guy. He's a really great guy. He's been through a lot, and he's just fantastic. I can't speak more highly. So I just want to thank Madison also for being on the line, and I hope you get out and support him. He'll be replacing somebody that's fantastic, Mark Meadows, who's done a fantastic job, as you know. Mark Meadows is now our chief of staff, and he's really in there doing an incredible job. And he loves the state. He loves your state of North Carolina. I also want to thank North Carolina GOP chairman, who has really been something. We've had a good winning streak going, Michael Whatley. And Michael, thank you very much. It's been you've been fantastic, and we really appreciate it. Also, I just want to say that in 4 years, we've achieved more than anyone thought even possible. We passed massive tax cuts and eliminated more regulations than any administration in the history of our country. The tax cuts were the biggest tax cuts in history. I saved the U.S. auto industry for a lot of reasons, including regulations, but also by withdrawing it from the last administration's job-killing catastrophe known as the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We wouldn't have an auto industry or a lot of other industries either. And to protect our workers, I imposed stiff tariffs on foreign aluminum and foreign steel. You know all about that. And we brought that back. We brought it all the way back. And it's been incredible. Steel, aluminum, so many different businesses. We wouldn't even have them now. We're reversing decades of Biden betrayals that decimated North Carolina jobs. Your state lost 43% of all manufacturing jobs after NAFTA and China's entrance into the World Trade, WTO, World Trade Organization. Earlier this year, I kept my promise to North Carolina when we ended the NAFTA nightmare and signed the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement into law. I took the toughest ever action to stand up to China's pillaging and plundering. Nobody's ripped us off like China. Nobody. No other country. Nobody. Period. And we've taken in billions of dollars, and I've given a big chunk of it, $28 billion, to the farmers who were wrongly targeted by China. And we have a lot of money left over that goes right into our treasury. Nobody took in 10 cents from China over the last 25 years. After years of rebuilding other countries, we're finally rebuilding our country. It's called America First. It's about time we put America first, and that's what's happened. And these people would come in and they'd disrespect us, they'd disrespect our country and all of the things that we've done, and they give it right back to all of these other faraway lands that have been ripping us off. To bring hope to our inner cities, I created opportunity zones, and I had a lot of help from Tim Scott from South Carolina, great senator, great guy. Opportunity zones, they've had an incredible impact. Passed criminal justice reform, delivered permanent funding for historically black colleges and universities. And before the China virus, we achieved the lowest African American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment rates ever recorded. And now, and you see that today, those numbers are coming right back up again. We're doing it again. We're doing it all over again. And Biden would be unable to do it. You can't do it if you're going to quadruple people's taxes. Democrat politicians have failed the black community for decades, and they failed every community, frankly, if you look at what's happened. Perhaps in no area, though, have our opponents more thoroughly betrayed working families of all backgrounds than on the subject of immigration, because immigration has been a big factor probably in my election, and we have now one of the strongest, probably the strongest border we've ever had. We ended catch and release, the ridiculous catch and release situation where you catch them and then release them into our own country by law. Stopped asylum fraud, and we've deported 20,000 gang members. We've also built 300 miles of border wall, and we're adding about 10 new miles every week, and the wall will be finished very, very soon. It's had a tremendous impact. Strongest border we've ever had. We invested $2.5 trillion in the U.S. military and launched the first new branch of the U.S. Armed Forces. That's the first in 75 years. It's called the Space Force. You've all been hearing about it. Your state will have something to do with it. You watch. We passed VA choice and VA accountability. So we passed Space Force, we passed VA choice, we passed VA accountability. I withdrew from last administration's disastrous Iran nuclear deal. They paid $150 billion for nothing. They paid $1.8 billion in cash to the Iranians. Cash, green. It's crazy. I kept my promise, recognized the true capital of Israel. Every president said, for many, many presidents said they were going to do it. They didn't do it because it wasn't easy. And opened the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. I recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. So the Golan Heights, they worked on that for 52 years. They couldn't get it done. I got it done. And we achieved the first breakthrough in Middle East peace in 26 years. We just signed a deal between Israel and the UAE. Now other countries are going to be joining also. You'll end up having peace in the Middle East. Watch. We killed the founder and leader of ISIS, al-Baghdadi. We killed the world's #1 terrorist, Qasem Soleimani. Soleimani's dead. We kept America out of new wars, and we're bringing our troops back home. Afghanistan, we're getting very close. We have it down to a very low number. Iraq, we're almost finished. Syria, we're almost finished, except we kept the oil. Have some troops back guarding it. Together, we've been rapidly fixing a half a century of Biden-era disasters. It was not only him, it was others, but they thought alike. Biden supported NAFTA, China's entry into the world trade. TPP, he supported the horrible South Korea trade deal, which was a disaster for our country. And mass amnesty for illegal aliens. He supported cutting Social Security. He voted for the Iraq War. He opposed the mission to take out Osama bin Laden, if you can believe that one. That was an easy one. He opposed killing Soleimani. He oversaw the rise of ISIS, and he cheered the rise of China as a really positive development for the world. He thought it was a wonderful thing. Not so good. If Biden wins, China will own America. You mark my words. Hopefully we don't have to think about it. When I banned travel from China, Biden called it hysterical and xenophobic. I did that because China was heavily infected, and we saved tens of thousands of lives by doing it. Then we banned Europe from coming in. And even the experts were against me, but they turned out, they all said, great job. We did something very good, very right. And we've done a fantastic job on this China virus, the invisible enemy. Get no credit for it. Our people, that Vice President Mike Pence, who loves your state, by the way, but Mike Pence and the task force and all of that, the things that we've done a great job, and you'll hear it because when the virus arrived, we launched the largest national mobilization since World War II. And thanks to the life-saving therapies that we've pioneered and developed, they're out now. You saw that. Remdesivir and the plasma, you just saw that come out. We have some incredible things coming out. The mortality rate has been reduced to 85% since, think of it, it's been reduced 85% since April. And we've achieved among the lowest case fatality rates of any major country in the entire world. You don't hear that from the fake news. They don't tell you about that. The European Union's case fatality rate is nearly 3 times higher than ours. And altogether, the nations of Europe have experienced a 30% greater increase in excess mortality than the United States. The news, the lamestream media doesn't tell you that. Cases in the U.S. have declined 28% nationwide over the last month, and hospitalizations and deaths have continued to decline rapidly over the past week. 3 vaccines are in the final stage of clinical trials, and Pfizer, great company, just announced that it expects to have the result of its vaccines very soon, and we're looking for great results. Under Operation Warp Speed, we remain on track to produce a safe and effective vaccine in record time. Another administration with another president would have taken 2 or 3 years to get to where we are right now. And I don't think that'd even be as close. It'll be delivered, the vaccine, before the end of the year, and frankly, maybe even during the month of October. I think October is even more likely. To continue forward in this path, we need everyone to be careful, apply common sense, and all of the things that we talked about. You know, we have a big weekend coming up, Labor Day weekend. We're into it now. And be very careful, socially distance, all of the things that you have to do so that we can knock this thing out. We're getting very close. We're very close. We're rounding the bend. I feel that very strongly. Joe Biden's plan to impose blanket shutdowns. He wants to do a blanket shutdown. Well, we did that. We did the right thing. We saved millions of lives, but now our economy is roaring back. If you did that, you'd give it all back, and there's no reason for it. It's time to open it up, and it's time to open up your state. Time to open up your great state. North Carolina has to get back, and the governor has to let it go. The Biden shutdown would cripple our healthcare system and reduce life expectancy for millions. There's a big price to pay in a shutdown. On the other side, people are starting to realize that. Through the Paycheck Protection Program, we've saved more than 1.3 million jobs for North Carolina workers. We also provided over $380 million in relief for North Carolina farmers, including $10 million for the tobacco farmers. We've taken great care of our tobacco farmers. Other people wouldn't do that. The U.S. economy added 1.4 million jobs in August, bringing the total to 10.6 million jobs created in just the last 4 months. That's a record. Never happened before, never even close. That's because we had a very strong foundation to build on. That's why we're coming back so quickly. It'll be a V, but probably a super V. The Biden agenda would crush this comeback and put our families in great danger. Biden's promising to impose $4 trillion in new taxes, meaning you're going to get massive tax increases. Eliminate America's borders in the middle of a pandemic yet. Wants to tear down the wall. He actually suggested tearing down the wall that we fought so hard to get built. Nobody else could have gotten that wall built. And it's exactly what the Border Patrol wanted, right down to their last specification. And he wants to take it down, give illegal aliens government health care. He wants to do that, and taxpayer-funded lawyers. That's what we need. Everybody that comes over illegally gets a taxpayer-funded lawyer. Increase refugee admissions by 700%. And he wants to do things that are not even believable. He wants to allow people into our country that we don't want to have in our country. We have, believe it or not, you take out Chicago and New York, a couple of places, we have by far the best crime numbers we've ever had. Republican-run cities and states have been doing phenomenally well, despite the horrible China virus. And Joe Biden opposes school choice. He opposes North Carolina opportunity scholarships and has stated that if he is elected, charter schools are gone. They're all going to be gone. So in the second term, we're pushing very hard for school choice to every parent in America, and a vote for a Republican is a vote for safe communities, great jobs, and a really bright future for all Americans. It's the American dream. They want to go exactly. I call them the American nightmare. And you see what's happening. And there's never been more enthusiasm, even beyond 2016, more enthusiasm. Over the next 4 years, we'll make America into the manufacturing superpower of the world, and we'll end our reliance on China once and for all. We'll rapidly return to full employment, soaring wages, and record prosperity, and that's what we're doing. We're creating records. And by the way, even as we round the turn on the pandemic, we're hitting a record stock market. 2 days ago, we hit a record, and we continue to hit a record. And I think we're going to do numbers next year, as I said, that'll be the best in our history. We'll hire more police. They want to get rid of your police. Increase penalties for assaults on law enforcement. Surge federal prosecutors into high crime communities, and ban sanctuary cities, which is something that you have to do. And you know all about sanctuary cities because you have a nice dangerous one in your midst. We'll appoint prosecutors, judges, and justices who believe in enforcing the law, not in their own political agenda. We'll uphold religious liberty, free speech, and the right to keep and bear arms. Guns, they want to take away your guns. They're going to take away your guns. They will do it. It's they put Crazy Beto O'Rourke in charge, and he is the one that is leading the charge. You will not have a Second Amendment, or it'll be obliterated. We'll strike down terrorists who threaten our citizens, as we've been doing, and we'll keep America out of these ridiculous, endless foreign wars, places that nobody ever even heard about. We'll end surprise medical billing, require price transparency, which is going to be bigger than health care, and I've already signed it. If you can believe it, it kicks in on January 1st, so I'll be very upset with North Carolina if Biden gets the credit. He doesn't even know what it means. It's all signed, it's all sealed, it's done. Require price transparency, and further reduce health insurance premiums and the cost of prescription drugs. They've gone down the first time in 51 years, but now I've done favored nations and rebates, and they're going to be going down at a level that nobody's ever seen before. 50, 60, 70%. We'll protect Medicare and Social Security, and we will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. We're trying to get rid of the remnants of Obamacare, because what we've done is, by getting rid of the individual mandate, we've gutted Obamacare. Now we want to get rid of the remnants because it's not good. And after that, we're going to have a health care that we should have always had. We've done very well with this, and we've given you lots of alternatives to so-called Obamacare. But we will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. Any new legislation will totally protect pre-existing conditions. And if you remember, they said, keep your doctor, keep your plan. It was a lie. America will land the first woman on the moon, and the United States will be the first nation to land an astronaut on Mars. As you know, we opened up NASA. It was closed. It was in sad shape with grass growing on the runways. And now we have it opened. It's the greatest space center again anywhere in the world. We'll restore patriotic education to our schools, and we'll teach our children to love our country and honor our history and always respect our great American flag. And we will live by the timeless words of our national motto, in God we trust. We're not taking the word God out, as they tried to do in their caucus of the Democrat National Convention. They took the word God out of the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, think of that. But that's where they're coming from. That's where it is, and that's where we are fighting, and we're fighting hard. And it's not an easy fight, but it's a fight that we're winning. I'm sitting right now in the Oval Office of the White House. I'm talking to the great people of North Carolina, and I just want to tell you, I will not let you down. I haven't. I protected you. I protected your farmers. I've really protected people that have been under siege, and that's your tobacco farmers. And the only thing is, we didn't do that. We'd have a bad product coming in from other lands, a dirty product, a bad product. We protected North Carolina because you've been very good to me. We won North Carolina. At every level we won it, but we won it in the race against crooked Hillary Clinton, and we got to win it again. It's a great state, and it's a very important state. So important that my son and daughter-in-law, Laura, who was born in North Carolina, named their baby Carolina, and I said, I like that name. So I just want to thank very much the people of North Carolina. We have a lot of people on the phone. They just gave me a number, and I won't even say it because nobody would even believe it. It's a lot of people. But if you could vote for Tom, and if you could vote for those great congressmen and women, we have you just have great people, great representatives, and Dan Forrest. We wish Dan a lot of luck. He'd be a great governor, fantastic. He'll open up your state, get you out of that shutdown. I want to thank the people of North Carolina. It's been an honor to be with you. Go out and vote, send those ballots in, but go out and make sure they are registered and they are tabulated. And if they're not, you just go and vote. And take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon. We'll be there soon. I appreciate it very much. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, the event has ended. If you'd like to support the president to make America great again, press 1 now to let him know he can count on your support. The liberal media is a 24-hour attack dog for the socialist working to defeat the president. If he can count on you to donate just a few dollars to help get the truth to the American people, press 2 now. The silent majority needs to speak up on Election Day. Join our team now as a Trump team leader by pressing 3 to help get our message out to your neighbors. Finally, the president needs everyone on this call to text Trump to 88022. Thank you, and God bless America.